It's morning again in Pittsburgh. The sun rises as we prepare for our work, our education, for the long-awaited weekend. Today, over 1.1 million of us will go to work in Allegheny County. Another 100,000 learn something new in the schools or the universities. How many will ask themselves why we have the jobs, the schools and universities, the city and the lives that we do? Who has made all of this possible? Your predecessors, your neighbors, your friends, and you did. I invite you to come with me and see how our small city became the heart of one industry after another, a history and reality that still benefit us today.
It was here at the juncture of the two rivers that the British and French empires clashed for control of an unknown land. Soon the British, led by George Washington, took hold of a burning Fort Duquesne. They built a new fort named after the British politician William Pitt, who rose to fame because of his support of real democracy and power to all people. Perhaps it was destiny that we became known as Pittsburgh, because as you will soon see, it was the people of all classes that brought the city to where it is today, as William Pitt could only have imagined. Pittsburgh, because of its strategic location on the rivers, soon became the gateway to the west. In fact, Lewis and Clark started their expedition from Pittsburgh in 1803, paddling down the Ohio River. It was soon discovered that Pittsburgh was rich in coal fields, and the coal business took hold. A Pittsburgher first distilled refined petroleum and started the oil business all over the country. The War of 1812 soon stimulated Pittsburgh to become an iron city, and when the British cut off supply of goods, American manufacturing went wild. Pittsburgh also made innovations in transportation, with Pittsburghers inventing suspension bridges and steamboats. All of this permitted the river city to stay connected with the world around it. This was perhaps the beginning of an industrial revolution where Pittsburghers invented and manufactured products that would benefit themselves and their country. During the same time period, the first business college was started in Pittsburgh, and the education industry would be one that would stick to our city forever. During the 1850s, steel overthrew iron as the main industry of Pittsburgh and became our #1 employer for over 100 years. At the same time, Pittsburgh served as the first convention city for the Republican Party. It's one of the first to rally against slavery. Pittsburgh was about to see rapid immigration. In fact, over the coming century, Pittsburgh's population will grow over tenfold, starting with the Scots and Germans, then the Jews and Europeans, and followed by the African Americans. All these groups came here for the labor. This was the time of household names like George Westinghouse, Andrew Carnegie Mellon, and Heinz. Alternating currents, air brakes for trains, theaters, and quality ketchup, things we take for granted in our daily lives, all required innovators, laborers in our city to create. These did not come readily. Laborers were underpaid and overworked, and civil disobedience, like the Homestead strike, arose. But times were changing quickly, and soon the first labor unions formed in our city. Industrial leaders like Andrew Carnegie built libraries, and George Westinghouse gave his employees Saturdays off. As consumers got more power and capital, new markets opened up. Pittsburghers heard the first radio, and WQED broadcasted the first video. The Cathedral of Learning was built in order to provide education for the future generations, and funded by these industrial giants. All these innovators overwhelmingly had a presence in education, and perhaps for good reason. You see, as times changed and industries rose and fell, the sciences and technologies continued to flourish. When the steel industry collapsed, workers fled their city in search of jobs, and the sun fell in a dark night as black as the smoke from the mills ensued over Pittsburgh. The learned generation that saw their parents toil in these mills and wanted a better life for themselves saved the city. It was Jonas Salk, son of immigrants, who cured one of the most menacing diseases in history with the help of our universities. These pioneers knew that education was the catalyst for the next generation in the city's future. That's why they built libraries and universities and donated millions to schools. And the cycle goes on. Companies like UPMC continue to employ thousands of Pittsburghers and provide services that we all need. And they're also giving back. Through the Pittsburgh Promise, UPMC and others are enabling everyone to get a higher education and be the next generation of innovators. Thousands of local businesses are giving millions to incentivize and excel our education and our city. And so tonight, as the sun sets over Pittsburgh once again, take a moment and consider what the future holds for you. Nobody is destined to succeed. All these innovators, they came from different backgrounds and from poor families. What they had in common is that they loved what they were doing. They loved to learn, to experiment, to yearn for accomplishment. These innovators understood that knowledge is the key. That is why they left us books to read, promises to keep, places to learn, videos to make, and a city to enjoy. But in the end, the future of Pittsburgh lies in your hands. blackened but steel but learned hands of the next generation of Pittsburghers? Will we continue to improve our city, to develop and research, to expand and renew? Will we bring out the sun once again? I invite you to join me and take a shot at changing the world.